Hello, hello. Making sure I'm live on Facebook. Happy Thursday, everybody. Come on in, come on in. Welcome to week 3 of Plan B. Excited you are here. And if you've been with me, you know I'm trying to get you live on my iPad so I can follow with you. Yay, excited you are here. Excited, excited. Let me pull this up so I can see your comments and turn my volume down. I always like to start with roll call just to see who is with me. So, that's how we're going to start, as we always do. So, let me pull up my music as you tell me name and where you're joining from. Tell me name and where you're joining from, even if you're watching the replay. For my live ladies, come on in, tell me name and where you're joining me from. Happy Thursday. Week 3, y'all. It's week 3, Plan B. When it's time for your next best career move, right? Come on in. Good morning, Sharon in Atlanta. Again, I'm looking at my iPad, y'all. Come on in. See my microphone down here. See my microphone. Come on in. Who else is with me? Happy Thursday. Third week of February. Can you believe that? Give me you guys time to see. I'm here live with you. What's my hair doing right there? So excited. I think this week is the most important out of everything I've shared with you. So excited, so excited. Can't wait to get started. But you guys come on in and see that I'm here. As you come in, tell me your name and where you're joining from. My Facebook live music, my Facebook approved music. So drinking my coffee this morning. I see more of you are joining. So tell me good morning, good morning. And anytime again you guys see me look to the side, it's only because I'm looking at my iPad so I can talk to you, see your comments. Let me move it closer to me so I can see it better. So I'm not looking all the way to the side. All right. So I'm going to get started. I see there are more of you here, but you guys want to be shy, and that's all right. So, welcome to week 3 of Plan B when you're ready for your next best career move. And I want you guys to get this right off the bat. Many people will tell you that you should never do Plan B, that you should stay focused on Plan A, right? And here's what I know from my own journey. There comes a time when your plan A is over, it's done, it's complete. You've done everything you purposed or set out to do, and there's more for you. You're done. So I'm not coming here these weeks for, I appreciate you, Marsha. I'm not coming here these weeks for who you already are. She's done. I'm coming and I'm sharing and I'm challenging you for who you have not yet become. And so, literally, in these weeks, my goal is to give you everything I know you need to move forward, to give you some great insights, some great tools. And yet, there's more that you will need. Why is this curl all in my face? And so, I'm going to share with you how you can get that more. For those of you that are ready for your plan B, right? So here's the thing I want you guys to get. Each week builds on the next. So if you miss week 1 or week 2, go back through the feed and watch those videos. Okay. I'm going to do a little review real quick. But what I'm going to share with you today, you'll understand why I shared with you week 1 and week 2. So excited. And as more of you guys come in, like Marsha, tell us where you're from, right? As more of you guys come in, tell us hey and tell us name and where you're from, right? And if you know a sister friend that needs this, that is in the middle of her plan B, that is working on what's next for her, I want you to invite her to join us. I want you to share it with all of your network, because there may be people in your network that you don't even know is ready for a plan B. And sorry, fellas, this is for the ladies, right? So here's what, number one, let me tell you what I mean by plan B. So plan B is when you are, again, I said this a minute ago, when your plan A is done complete. Maybe you have the career you always wanted and you're complete. You feel like something is missing. You feel that you're not fulfilled. That's because the current role you have is no longer big enough for your gift. So if that's you, I'm talking to you. If you've had this rumble in your belly to start a business, most people would tell you to quit your job to start your business. I'm not that girl. I set you up to win. I don't set you up to fail. I call you an alongside her because my goal is to teach you how to start your business alongside your 9 to 5. Or maybe you've been in business and you're not making the money you desire or deserve. All of those things means it's time for your plan B. Okay. So good morning, Tony in Dallas. And so week one, I talked to you from don't settle. See, oftentimes we feel guilty for wanting more. We feel guilty because there's something else for us to do. And I just need you to understand that it just means that where you are is over. So I'm not going to walk you through the 3 steps from week one. It's funny, I have all my notes here. I keep them all out, right? And it's so good because God wants abundantly above all that you could ever ask or think for you. And when you settle for less than that, that means you're settling for less than what God has available to you. Ooh, right? Hey, Miss Angela from Boston. So week one was don't settle. Week two was who's on your team. And we looked at all the people around you. You know, I think all of us, me included, we often don't realize that the people we have around us, the environment we have ourselves in, either fuels us or deflates us. It either is adding deposits into our purpose, our desires, our dreams, or it's taking away, it's withdrawals. And if you look at the bank account of your life and people keep withdrawing, at some point you're a deficit. And so each week I give you guys great work to do. Why? Because here's what happens. Many of us as successful women, you're on autopilot and you've been doing what you've been doing for years that at the beginning got you to the level of success you're at. But listen, the tools that you need on your next level are not sufficient, right? The tools you've used on this level are not sufficient for your next. That's a quote, right? By the way, right? The tools you've used on this level are not sufficient for your next level. And so you're going to need new tools. Hey, Don in Boston, all my Boston girls in the house, right? You're going to need new tools. And so that literally is why, number one, I want you to look at who's around you, because if they have not been feeding you, if they've not been supporting you, if they've not been nurturing and holding the space for you to grow, then they got to go. Oh, I said it. Mm-hmm. And so I gave you great insight and strategy around that last week. So this week, I'm going to build on those 2 weeks. This is week 3. And I think this week is most important because if you're going to move into your next level, if you're going to move into your abundantly above all that you could ever ask or think, if you're going to move into your plan B, then you must take a knee. Now, listen. Every week when I sit and pray and ask God, what should I share? Good morning, Stacy in Hampton. Every week, and there's more people here, so y'all say good morning. You won't bother me. I'm a sister girl, so if we were at lunch, you could interrupt me, and I go right back into my topic. And trust me, if I forget what I'm talking about, one of y'all will remind me. So you won't interrupt me if you say good morning while I'm talking. So listen, when I pray and ask God, what should I share? When I pray and ask God to pour into me so that I can pour into you. So let me be clear. All the great insight, when it's good, it's not me, that's God. And that totally speaks to what I'm going to talk to you about. So as I asked God, what should I share with you? Colin Kaepernick kept coming in my head. And I'm like, why does he keep coming in my head? So here's what I want you guys to get. So his whole Take a Knee campaign was really around a protest. And if you see me looking down, I have a whole page of notes because I don't want to forget to tell you anything. All right. So these are my notes from me, so I don't forget anything. So the Take a Knee campaign that Colin Kaepernick started in the NFL, right, that has bled into other things, was really around protesting against police brutality. But when I talk about Take a Knee, is the reflection on the power of prayer. I'm talking about the power of prayer because that's the kind of knee I'm trying to take. That's the kind of knee you must take if you're going to shift into your next level, right? And I want you to get this, because it's going to take another level of faith, another level of your relationship with God in order to go to this new expanded territory. Because if it's abundantly above all that you could ever ask or think, it's going to require a new level of you. So there's 3 things you got to understand and why you must take a knee, okay? The first one is you are a girl disrupted. I meant to look up disruption before I got on, so I'm gonna do it while I'm with you live, right? And so, you know, as I was praying and asking disruption, right? Definition. Look, I meant to do this before I got on the phone, got on live with you guys, but I am always transparent, right? So disturbance, which interrupt an event, activity, or process, a disturbance, right? So somehow what happens is, and I want you guys to get this, right? When you're getting ready to go to your next level, there will always be disruption. There will always be something that comes and it feels like it's just in the way of your already planned out perfect life, right? So if I give you some examples, And by the way, it's all in how you handle the disruption that makes a difference, right? And so your plan B is disrupting your plan A. See, what happens is when you stay in plan A, most successful women that I meet that I get to talk to, and this was me for years, you stay in plan A because it's comfortable and because it's easy. Because you think to yourself, if this is you, well, this is what I always wanted. So how dare I want something different? And the disruption is happening because there is more for you. So when I think of the ultimate disruption example, I think of Dr. Martin Luther King. So I wonder if you realize this about Dr. King. This Black History Month, so perfect time for me to actually use him as an example. Another example just popped in my mind, Rosa Parks. So listen, Dr. King was 24 years old. He had just graduated, I believe, with his PhD. I believe it was his doctorate, right? Not a doctorate in divinity, maybe not a PhD, but anyway, that doesn't matter. He had just graduated, just got married, just got assigned his first church. So he thinks he's about to just be a pastor with his new wife in Atlanta. And I want you to get this. He got called to a meeting. At that meeting is where he got voted to be the head of the civil rights movement. He didn't expect that. He wasn't looking for that. Can you imagine? What were you doing at 24? I know that's not what I was doing at 24. And I really need you to understand this. It was the disruption that was taking him to his next level, because being a pastor was neat easy, was what he expected, was everything he had worked for. But God had more for him to do. Even Rosa Parks, that day when she was tired on the bus, that was a disruption that she didn't expect to do that day. I know she didn't wake up that day saying to herself, I'm not getting up off this seat. I know she didn't start her day in that way, but in that moment, that disruption happened. And so my question to you is, what do you do in the moment of disruption? I believe many of you are in your disruption right now. And so because of that, it's what you do in this moment that will make a difference. Do you stay and do you settle, which was week one? Do you stay in comfort and easy? Do you stay in what people expect of you? Do you listen to perception? Do you listen to what the naysayers say about you? Or do you listen to the rumble that's inside of you, which I believe is God? When you have this inkling to be or do something more, is God rumbling your purpose up in you? If you didn't know that, you know now. So when Martin Luther King went to that meeting, now I haven't met King. Unfortunately, I'll never be able to ask him this, but I'm pretty sure. Because I know how disruption works, because it happened to me. I'll tell you about my disruption in a second. I know how disruption works because when he went to that meeting, he went to volunteer. He didn't go to like lead it. But in that moment, he had a decision to make. And so what happens in your disruption is there's choice that has to be made. And so I want to talk about that. That's the next step I'm going to talk about. Okay. But here's what I want you to know. So even in my own journey, so I had the career I always wanted. I've wanted to work in entertainment since I was 8 years old. And many of you guys have heard my story. So I'm not going to tell the whole thing. I think I told it week one, right? Ever since I was a little girl. And here I was. I graduated from college. I was working on the hottest TV shows, going to all the hot Hollywood parties. I was doing everything I ever dreamed of. And yet something felt like it was missing. And I kept feeling conflicted, because how dare I feel like this when this is everything I ever wanted? I made it. My name is on list. I got the title. I've got it all. And every one of my friends who I talked to kept saying, Nicole, are you crazy? This is why you got to look who's around you. Now, none of them were speaking negative to me, right? But I had to find someone that I could tease it out with. And I'm going to tell you where that was. That was when I had to take a knee, because nobody understood. But there's one place that I could go that did understand. And I'm so glad I took a knee. So the second thing is you got to get spiritual direction. Now, here's the thing. Now, I wrote a whole page of notes on this. I'm going to make sure I go through all of this. It's all about spiritual direction, right? Which is, by the way, why every week I'm inviting you guys to come to Awaken Women Weekend. See, it's one thing to go to church on Sunday. It's one thing to have a bunch of notes, which I do every Sunday. I have a whole notes section in my notes, all my sermon notes. It's another thing to know Bible verses and have them memorized. But it's another thing to get clear and get in a place where you can get your direction directly from God, not through your pastor, not through one of your friends, not through a Bible verse, not through just a journal reading. And so listen, Esther is our example this week, right? Good morning, Celia. Tell us where you're from, right? Esther is our guide for plan B, because she was plan B. She was a plan B and she had to make a plan B, right? So let me read all my notes, right? So listen. By the way, you know what I think is interesting is if you read the book of Esther, the entire book, God is not mentioned once. You never hear God himself. Nothing says God, but talks about prayer. It talks about her going for direction, right? Now, Listen, Esther got to a place now, real quick. This is a Cliff Note version of the story of Esther. Esther was the king's plan B. So she was his second wife because his first wife acted a fool. The people around him said, let her go. We had the wrong people around him. We talked about that last week, right? And so Esther, to make a long story short, became queen. But here's the caveat: a Jew could never become queen. And so Esther was a Jew. So what her cousin did, right person around her, he saw an opportunity. He saw she was a good fit for her. So he made it happen. He said, listen, we're going to change your name. Her name is Hadassah. Hadassah, whatever it is. Changed her name to Esther. And she won, like American Idol. She won. Okay. So now Esther's queen. Now Esther is queen. And here's the thing she finds out: that the king's best friend, again, king has wrong people around him, talked about that last week. The king's best friend has his plot against the Jews. Now, here's the thing: the king doesn't realize that his wife is a Jew. So Esther has a decision to make. Now, the thing that makes this a disruption, because listen, she's in the palace, she's living it big, she got all kind of handmaids and servants, and she can do what she wants. She has all the finest clothing, all the finest jewelry. She doesn't have to lift a finger. Just imagine what that would be like. I know I'd be getting massages every day. I'd be having lunch with my girls. Imagine having the life you always wanted. And here comes this disruption. So she can remain silent and not say a thing. And the king, again, doesn't know she's a Jew. So she can remain silent and keep her whole life intact. Or she can stand in the gap for her people. And so in that moment, what Esther does shifts everything. She says, listen, if I perish, I perish. But first, before I do anything, I'm going to go pray. So she says, Mordecai, tell all the people to pray. She asked all her handmaidens, which are not Jews, keep in mind, or they might be Jews, but they work for her in a palace, that she asked all of her homegirls that are around her to pray. Why does she do that? Because she knows she needs spiritual direction. Now, the thing I think is so interesting, and I really want you to understand this. Now, let me say this, because so many successful women think that going to church is enough, and it's not. And I'm not saying don't go to church. You need to do that too. They think, oh, just reading in your Bible is enough. And I'm not saying don't do that. You need that too. But what you need to understand is you need to have spiritual alignment, because God wants to give you direction. He wants to pour into you. You know how, I don't know if this happens to you, so I'm going to talk about me. You know, as a speaker, I'll get ideas. I'm like, oh, that's good. And then I take credit for the idea. Well, I don't take credit. I'm clear now. I know that those ideas are called God ideas. And it's because when I spend time and sit and try to figure out what I want to teach you, and I get an idea, I'm like, thank you, Lord. I know that's God. But I sit in quiet contemplation. And so you've got to figure out, what does that look like for you? When you get to a distracting moment, when you get to a disruption, not distraction, when you get to disruption, the only way you're going to get the plan to move forward is from God. And for many of you, it's like this. What if you have an iPhone or a smartphone, right? And you know, your smartphone, you can email, you can text, you can download apps, you can surf the web, you can do all of that. But all you use your phone for is to make phone calls, and that's it. Now, as your girlfriend, you know what I would tell you about that? And by the way, if I'm saying anything that resonates with you or you have questions, let me know. So as your friend, you know what I would tell you about that? I would tell you that you were overlooking all that was possible for you. I would tell you there's so much capacity that your phone has that's available to you that you are overlooking. And that's the same thing you do when you overlook all that's possible in your spiritual connection with God. So it's more than reading a Bible verse. It's more than going to church on Sunday. It's relationship and spending the time. And everybody's is different. And so when you're in disruption, when you're looking for what's next for you, you've got to get in alignment with God. That is why I'm inviting you guys to join me for Awaken Women Weekend, by the way. So those of you that are coming, like Angela, I know you have your seat. I see Angela's here. I haven't seen any of the other ladies that have signed up here. Listen, go to awakenwomanweekend.com. The goal of the weekend, of course, we're going to give strategy. We're going to work on strategy for your plan B. We're going to look at where you are. I'm going to answer questions. I'm going to coach you. But around all of that, we're going to sit in quiet contemplation with God. And just as her phone keeps going in and out. So listen, watch the replay, Angela, right? So I need you guys to get that without this, before making any major decision, if you don't sit in quiet contemplation with God, you are missing out on all kind of direction. So I always say it's the difference between Eve and Esther. Now, y'all know Eve, right? See, Eve listened to what was around her, which was the snake. See, God had already given Eve her direction, but she lost her way. And so instead of when the snake told her something contrary to what God had told her, instead of her getting silent and sitting in her own personal time with God, she listened to the snake. Whereas Esther knew this decision she was making was going to be a game changer, not just for her, but for her whole community. And so she sat in quiet contemplation and got direction. And even when she got direction, as she executed it, she sat in quiet contemplation. Because listen, she knew that she could die. Right? So the next number 3 is you got to look past what you can see. So number 1 is disruption is a start of promotion. Number 2 is get spiritual direction. And number 3 is you got to look past what you can see, right? Again, I'm looking at my notes, right? So here's a Bible verse, and I have a Bible verse to talk about the whole conversation I'm talking to you about. By the way, if any what I'm saying is resonating with you, let me know. If I'm stepping on your toes, then good. Because this is a missing link so many of you guys have, and the fact that you don't have your spiritual alignment. Listen, if we got to take our cars in to get aligned, what makes you think you don't need to go in for an alignment? And so Awakened Woman Weekend is exactly what that is. It's a place for you to get aligned spiritually, physically, mentally with a group of other women that are in the journey with you. Because your friends may not be in this place, right? I love that you guys are seeing each other, but y'all didn't even say hi to me, right? Hey, Nikki and Cecilia, tell us where you're from, right? You might have wonderful sister friends, but they're not in this journey with you. So they can't help you. They can't support you. They can love on you. They can say they're proud of you, but they can't help you with any kind of strategy you might want to execute. See, God's going to give you strategy. And sometimes you need somebody that's in the journey with you to say, girl, let me tease this out. So the thing with Esther, she had her handmaid, she had Mordecai. Who do you have that's in the same place with you? That is why I created this weekend, so that I can coach you in those 3 days, so that I can give you strategy and help you create your strategy to go to your next and to get you spiritual aligned. Because sometimes the spiritual practice you've been doing isn't enough and you need more, which leads us to number 3. And here's why I think number 3 is so important. Again, number 3 is look past what you could see. See, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. And the thing I think is so interesting is there's a Bible verse, and my pastor said this on Sunday, so I gave my pastor credit for this, right? And when I came home, I studied it and prayed about it, and that's where all this realization came, right? My question to you as I read this Bible verse, I want you to think about what side of the butt are you on? Ooh, my pastor said that on Sunday. I was writing the notes. What side of the butt are you on? I have told you these things. This is, by the way, John 16:33. This is the Amplified version, right? I've told you these things so that in me you may have peace. In the world you will have tribulation and distress and suffering, but be courageous. I have overcome the world. But be courageous. So in that moment, Esther was on the side of being courageous, right? So you could be in tribulation and distress, which will make you frustrated, stressed out, scared, and then you stay in comfort because you're scared. But on this side, be courageous and go after that big bold dream. If God wants you to live abundantly above all that you could ever ask or think about how big that must be. It's bigger than what you could ever ask for or think. So if it's bigger than what you could ever ask for or think, then guess what? It's going to be scary. It's going to seem like it's not possible. It's going to seem like, Lord, have you lost your mind? This is crazy. That's how I always feel when God puts stuff in my spirit. I'm always like, Lord, are you sure? Did you mean to tell me this? But I always want to be on this side of the butt. But be courageous. And so in that moment for Esther, she had a choice. She could be in fear and not say a word and let everybody get killed. Or she could have courage. Eve had the same choice, by the way. Eve had the same choice. She acted on what she could see. She was in distress. Well, he said, if we can do this, then we'll have this. And I don't see that we have that. And who is this telling you this? She didn't even investigate and say, Lord, this crazy person says something to me. No, she was on this side of the butt. So what side of the butt will you be on? And listen, there's all kind of Bible verses in the Bible that says the just shall live by faith. Guess what? We all are the just. So you can either live by fear or by faith. Esther chose to live by faith. Now, there's nowhere in the Bible that tells you not to be afraid. You're going to be afraid, But God hasn't given you the spirit of fear. He's giving you power, love, and a sound mind. You get that power, love, and a sound mind by really having that spiritual direction, by getting clear and clarity from God, not from you, not from your girlfriends, not from just reading a Bible verse, which is great. But you need more than a Bible verse. You need more than a sermon on Sunday. You need spiritual alignment. And so that is our conversation. That's really Take a Knee. That is literally why Esther was successful, because she did something. By the way, even if you read all of Esther's story, and what she ends up doing is she has a banquet for the king. Now, technically, a queen never summons a king to a banquet. That's also a no-no. So everything she was doing was outside of what was normal, outside of comfortable. But she was willing to do it to stand in the gap for her people. My question to you is, what will you do to stand in the gap for the people that need you? I don't know if you realize that God put you on this planet as the answer to a group of people that need the gift inside of you. That's why you have a rumble for your plan B. It ain't about you. Whether it's because it's a new role for you to play and work. Listen, I'm clear everybody's not meant to be an entrepreneur. Listen, somebody has to help make an iPhone. Somebody's got to help make coffee, right? But it's really understanding, how do you take your intellectual property and become the highest version of who God created you to be? Because there are people that are waiting for you. So it's so important that you don't just sit in comfort and settle for what you've already done. I need you to go after what you have not yet done. I need you to be willing to courageously say yes to your next level. And if you need the support and the coaching, then you claim your seat at Awaken Women Weekend. Now, listen, I made it economical for you to join. An event like this is usually at least $1,000 without paying for your travel or your hotel. The ticket's only $297. That $297 covers your food all day Saturday and Sunday. We start 7 p.m. Friday, March 27th, and we go to Sunday, 2 p.m. You can totally leave at 4 p.m. You'll be fine. Those of you that want to go home on Sunday. So for $297, the hotel is getting ready to sell out. So I need you guys to get your seats ASAP. Those of you that have been sitting on the edge and you've been wondering, and I'm halfway sold out too, because I'm keeping it intimate. So if you've been thinking about it, you've been asking people, do they want to go? Don't wait for your girlfriends. You come. Don't worry about, I'm coming by myself. No, you're not, because you're going to be in a room full of other women in the journey with you. You'll see that I act the same way when we are together that I act on these lives. You will not feel like you're alone. I promise you that. AwakenWomanWeekend.com is where you go. Claim your seat. Don't wait for someone else, right? So in that weekend, what we're going to do is, number one, we're going to get you spiritually aligned. We're going to create, I'm going to help you create some new spiritual practices, right? So that's number one. And everything I talk about is God. So you don't have to worry about, am I talking about crystals or universe? No. Because why would I pray to a crystal or the universe when I can pray to the God that created both of those things? Come on, somebody. So we're not talking about crystals or universe or any of that. I'm talking about God. And getting clear on the commander in chief of your life that can give you the ultimate direction to take. Then we'll get clear on what's the next best move for you. What is that? What is the thing that might scare you that you haven't said out loud? We'll talk about, how do you move past fear? We'll deal with everything that's in your way in those 3 days. Oh, and for those of you that register by next Friday, I'm so excited. So what you're going to get after the weekend is what I'm calling my Awaken Activation Toolkit. So that we're going to do work in those 3 days, right? And then when you go home, nothing will have shifted but you. So I want to make sure you can activate everything you've learned. So let me just tell you in the 3 days, and I'm going to tell you all the gifts you get, because I have all kind of stuff, right? So number one, in the 3 days, you're going to get spiritually aligned. We're going to make an action plan of what next for you. Not make it, but we're going to be clear on how you execute it. You're going to get around a supportive community. I'm looking at my notes because I always forget stuff. And then of course, we're going to give back to you spiritually, mentally, physically, right? So it's 3 days of me coaching you, of exercises, of tools, of templates, of everything you need to move into your plan B. So you don't have to be confused anymore. You'll be clear and focused and ready to go after it. So that's in that 3 days, in the course of those 3 days. Now, when you register, you get my ebook. Now, the thing that I love about my ebook is this book, It's Your Time to Shine. When I sent it to my publisher, the title of the book was For Such a Time as This, but my publisher made me change it. So when you get the ebook, I put it back to the title I wanted because it's my book and I can. Right? Courageous, right? But really, because this is your for such a time as this moment, just like it was for Esther. Why do I know? Because you're listening. If it wasn't your time, you wouldn't be listening. And so this 52-week devotional, you start it now. It'll start some great spiritual practices for you. One of the things that I love that I find God pours through me is journaling. And I felt like this. And then I heard John Legend say this on an interview a couple years ago, that when he's writing songs, it's like God just pours as he's writing. And that is what happens when I journal. And I know that will happen for you as well. That's one of the spiritual practices that I do is journaling. I do prayer, I do meditation. By the way, to me, prayer is talking and meditation is listening. And you can have a relationship if you don't ever listen. Just saying. So all those things will work on while we're together, Awaken Woman Weekend, by the way. So you get this book, you start it now, then you have it for a year. So from today's February 20th to this year to February next year, you'll be able to do this work. So that's number one. Number two, you get the work that we do together in the room on those 3 days and to build on this. Number three, each week in Plan B, I'm giving you a worksheet. I'll tell you about today's worksheet. That's going to help move your information. All of it works hand in hand. You guys have to know that I'm someone that everything I teach works in concert together like a puzzle. Then the fourth thing you get, yes, Stacy, the fourth thing you get is the awakening. The awakening. Oh my God, it just went out of my head. The awakening activation toolkit. Sorry, went out of my head. Every now and then I have a senior moment. Not often, but every now and then. It's like at 50, your brain just shifts and you forget stuff. But anyway, awakening activation toolkit you'll get after the event for those of you that register by next Friday, right? So you have this week until next week. And then those of you that start registering in March, holla. Why am I doing that? Because I always want to reward the women that are in it. Like Esther didn't have time to wait. She had to make a shift. She had to make a decision in that disruption quickly. And so again, the disruption is the start of your promotion. So I don't need you waiting for it. I need you to be willing to go after it. So if that's you, I look forward to seeing you at awakenwomanweekend.com, right? Now, here's the last thing I'm going to say. And if you guys have questions about anything I shared, please let me know. So this week for week part 3 of your playbook, so you guys know we're building a playbook, is all about your spiritual practice. So I'll walk you through some exercises that could be great spiritual practices for you. And then I give you a 30-day journal, a 30-day log rather. Because I want you to try some things out over the next month. And then when we come together, those of you that come to Awaken Woman Weekend, you will be able, we'll look at what worked, what didn't work, and we'll activate more of it. Why? Because I'm going to tell you something. When I started literally spending time with God, and in the last year, in full transparency, God has begun to up level it. He's like, you need to spend more time with me. Yes, Lord. So the 20 minutes I was doing doesn't work anymore. I had to up level it because God is asking me to do things like, listen, this is my first year doing Awaken Woman Weekend. Now, I used to do retreats like 20 years ago for my mentors that I used to work with and for my teenage girls. But God said, I need you to bring it back and I need you to do it for the successful woman. And so this is my first Awaken Woman Weekend. So let me explain to you that I'm doing it encourage. I'm doing it disruption. I'm girl disrupted. I'm in the middle of my own disruption in my own business because I'm doing things I've never done before. But listen, God is giving me direction. The same way that I'm pouring into you, God is pouring into me. And the same way God is pouring into you and pouring into me, hey, I'm always going to be transparent. So am I scared of Awaken Woman Weekend? No, I'm excited about it because I know that the retreats I used to do, how fundamentally life transforming they were. I actually was excited that God suggested that I do it. However, me offering it out loud in the public is scary. But I'm willing to do it. Why? Because it's not about me. It's about you. It's about you becoming all that God has purposed you to be and having the space to do it. Oh, thank you, Kara. So it's in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. So I forgot to say. So it's at a beach villa because I didn't want it to be in a hotel. So it's at a house, a private house I rented on the beach. The hotel you're staying at is 9 minutes from the villa. My team is going to shuttle you back and forth. So you don't have to figure out how to get to the house, any of that. So we'll send you a shuttle schedule the week of, those of you that register. 9 minutes away. Now, listen, everywhere we look, because I was clear, I wanted it to be a beach. Why? Because for me, beach is just spiritual, right? And so I'm really creating a space for you to commune with God. And so, listen, every beach I called Florida, I called Hilton Head. I mean, we called every beach and it was crazy expensive. And Marsha, who's on here, brought to my attention that it's spring break. Yeah, I don't, I have grandkids. Let me just say it like that. So, I am beyond school age time with my bonus children because I don't have kids myself. I have wonderful stepchildren, which I call my bonus children because they were a bonus added blessing to my marriage. So, I didn't realize it was spring break. So next year, note to self, I need to look at when spring break is. So everyone was expensive. So Myrtle Beach was willing to work with me. So the Hilton nice hotel that I've stayed at in Myrtle Beach, right? Hey, Marcia. Marcia has her ticket too, Miss Angela and Miss Marcia, right? So listen, I've stayed at the Hilton. Hilton is nice, but I also wanted it to be a spa. So I'm going to recommend come in Friday morning, go to the spa, get your body all in alignment for the work will start Friday at 7 p.m. 7 p.m. Friday, and we go till 2 p.m. on Sunday. Okay. And so, yes, so that's where it is. And I'm gonna tell you, the hotel keeps calling me because they're like, we're close to selling out. I'm like, we're still registering, ladies. Keep holding my place, my seats. So if you haven't registered yet, if you haven't registered and booked your hotel, book it right away. Okay. So the hotels in Florida were $500. That's why we didn't go there. The hotel in Hilton Hill was almost $400. In Myrtle Beach, $222. I couldn't believe that they were willing to work that deal out. So listen, y'all, I need you to grab your seat. If you want a roommate, then listen. Oh, I didn't tell you this. This is where you can look for a roommate. So Plan B, your playbook is going to be in my Facebook group. So if you're not a member of the Brilliance Tribe, join. Just go to thebrilliancetribe.com. It's the Women of Brilliance. But if you type in your browser, thebrilliancetribe.com, it'll take you there. I do ask you questions, answer the questions. So this I will place there when I hang up from here. It'll be available until 6 a.m. EST tomorrow. And why do I do that? Because again, action takers will always be blessed because I know God is all of God action about what you do in your disruption. Do you take action? Do you sit back and wait and procrastinate? God is not a God of procrastination. He does not honor that. So for the women that are saying, yes, I'm in it, I'm going to get it, right. And those of you, somebody put a message in the group, she couldn't find it. Look in the file section in the group. You'll always find whatever, because I give other gifts in the group, right? So the Bridge Tribe is where you go.com, all right? Yay, you have a roomie. I'm excited. Marsha's excited. I love it. And here's the thing that I love about having a roommate now, because I'm all the strategy and all the insight I'm going to give you, you have somebody to tease it out with. You have somebody to talk things through with. Mm-hmm. So I love that. So if you want a roommate, you want to meet a new woman, then post a note in the Brilliance Tribe and say, I'm going to Awaken Woman Weekend. Who wants to be my roommate? Post it, right? And so with that, that's our conversation for today. So we have one more week. Week 4, I'll wrap it up with a bow. I got a yummy gift for you next week too. So make sure you are here next Thursday, 8 a.m. EST. Any questions? Oh, any questions, thoughts that you guys have? Thank you, Kara, for asking me what city, because I start going in and forget to say stuff. Any questions? So funny because the film, this is delayed, so I have to like sit here for a second. You are so welcome in Tanzania. Tell us where you're from. Tell us what city you're in. I am headed to Miami, by the way, while I'm waiting for questions. I'm going to speak at the Flourish Conference. So if any of you guys are going to be at the Flourish Media Conference, come tell me how. I'll only be there tomorrow. The conference is Friday, Saturday, but I'm committed to stay married. So I'm coming home because my husband's home. So yay. So listen, if you're coming, you're in Miami, and you come to the conference, say hello to me. And then in 2 weeks, I'm speaking at a conference in DC, and I can't think of the name of it. It's in Virginia. Power. Oh God, it just went out of my head. Hold on, I can look it up. So, and I'm waiting for you guys to see if you have any questions. Are you in line later or after this to take a moment? I don't know what that means, Angela. Are you in line later or after this to take a moment? I don't know what that means. So give me clarity, Angela, so I can answer your question. So it's called Power Up Women's Conference in DC. It's sad. I listen. I have so many events I'm speaking at, which I love, and I can't keep up with the names of it. So Power Up Women's Conference is on March 7th in Virginia, right outside of DC. Those of you that are in that area, I will be there March 7th. But Listen, why get 45 minutes with me when you can have 3 days with me? AwakenWomenWeekend.com. Are you in line or after this to talk? I don't, Angela, I don't know what that means. So I'm headed to the airport, headed to Miami. So, Angela, if you have a question posted here, I'll answer it quickly. What do you do my first time watching? Oh, thank you, Shelly. So, what I do is I help women create multiple streams of income from what they know. So, really, I help women align their purpose with their paycheck. So, if you're an entrepreneur, it's creating multiple streams of income from your intellectual property. If you're working a 9 to 5, then it's really helping you align that purpose with your paycheck. So that's what I do. Love it. I meant, are you online after this to talk a moment? I'm not online. I'm headed out. So if you have questions, any questions about Awaken Women Weekend, just send an email to brilliance@NicoleRobertsJones.com and my team will answer it while I'm here, there, and everywhere. So that's where you get any questions you have. But if you want to ask a question out loud right now, Angela, then ask it, girl. I got you. Ask it. Type it here in the feed. You are so welcome, Shelby. And listen, those of you that want to learn more about me, go look at my website. Go to NicoleRobertsJones.com. And I've given you guys a lot of websites today. The biggest and most important one to me is AwakenWomanWeekend.com. So with that, I'm off, headed to the airport to go to Miami. Well, I got to get ready. I got to finish packing and I'm headed to the airport. So have a phenomenal Thursday. I will talk to you guys soon. I can't wait to serve you, teach you, and those of you that are joining me for Awaken Woman Weekend, come listen. You come empty, I'm coming full. I'm coming to pour everything I have into you, so you leave ready to go after what's next for you. All right. So have a good Thursday. I'll post the gift in the group right now. Go grab it, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye, y'all.